that we need to continue to stand strong to defend everybody's rights and freedoms.
You know, there's something I've been seeing. I've been seeing a lot of recently, and I know people mention it in passing, as it happens or whatever, but no one really looks at the history of it. You see, it seems like every single time the Liberal Party needs to do anything, or the Liberal Party has any inkling, how can I put this? I don't think I was ready to push record yet. Hold on. Let's try this again. Every time the Liberals require any type of power, or, you know, they want to push through something, they always create a crisis. It's always a crisis. And if any dissenting views come up, it's always conspiracy theory. Always. You look at our federal election right now. It's the Trump crisis. It's the conservatives' conspiracy theory. You know, all these conspiracy theorists from the conservative side. Well, let's take that and put it into some context, okay? I mean, you're not entirely wrong. I trying to assume what's going to happen in the future as much as you do. You don't like my observations, but does that dismiss my observations over your observations? I don't think so. I think I should be entitled to my observations as well as yours. What makes mine a conspiracy theory and yours not? And this is the conversation. You know, in our current election, oh, I already said this part about the Trump crisis versus the conspiracy theorists. But let's look back to look back to a couple of other, sorry, I'm trying not to slip on these rocks. They're kind of mossy and wet because it rained yesterday. That's why I never got this video, or got this whole hike in yesterday. Gonna get the other half today. Anyway, sorry, off topic. Let's look back and look at a couple of crises versus the conspiracy theories that were floating around about it. Okay? It's ironic. Let's look at the drug crisis in Canada right now. The conspiracy theorists said that you're encouraging drugs and the prolific drugs and crime by legalizing or distributing and legalizing drugs on the streets. And everybody dismissed the conservative point of view that it would cause more crime and it wouldn't solve the problem, we'd just make the problem worse. The liberal slash NDP slash, all right, fine, left wing position was always that, well, their conspiracy theory was that this will lower the death tolls, having a government-controlled substance rather than the dangerous non-government supply. It would make it safer, hence the name, which it's not. But the conservatives were called conspiracy theorists when they said that it would cause problems. And it turns out the conservatives were right. But you don't acknowledge that part. And the liberal point of view was it ended up causing more problems in society than it helped. So, when I hear conspiracy theory, all I hear is I disagree with you. And I don't understand why we can't have that conversation. You want to disagree? Let's disagree. But why is only one side called a conspiracy theorist when proven right 99, well, maybe not 99% of the time, but a fair majority of the time. But the liberals, sorry, not the liberals, but pretty much equivalent percentage of the time, the point of view for that particular crisis always turns out to be the wrong direction and causing more harm than good. Everything that the conspiracy theorists were warning about when you were making the decisions. So yeah, I don't know what the future is, okay? And if anybody tells you they do, don't give them 20 bucks. Trust me, it's gone money. Anyway. Oh, check it out. Something's been digging down in there. See, where was I going with this? You see, the liberals also, once again, a crisis. The big P word that happened in 2020. Which way do I go here? Oh, that way, okay. You know, the yeah. That word. Remember the policies around that? Do you remember when Grandma or Grandpa were seeing their final days? And our government said, yeah, nah, you can't go see them. You can't say goodbye. And the conservatives were saying, well, this is going to cause traumatic impact on family. The liberals dismissed us as conspiracy theorists. Yet you look back now and how many people regret that? So who was right? Who was wrong? Look how many families got ripped apart because you said, no, we can't have you over for Christmas this year. Sorry you're single and alone, but yeah, we got to look out for little Jimmy or Grandma, who I can't go visit when she does get sick. I don't. They try and do things for the good, they claim it's for good reasons, and they use these heartstring motives. And then anybody that has a differing opinion, all of a sudden, is conspiracy theory. But isn't your assumption on the outcome of whatever that particular thing also a conspiracy? I mean, you said this would benefit Canadians by not going to see Grandma. You said it would benefit Canadians to tell Uncle Bob, who's losing Grandma, not to come over for Christmas. Doesn't that harm Canadians in the well-being of their mental state? You're always on about, you know, mental conditions, and I don't have the proper terminology at the moment. My brain is... Remember, this comes off the top of my head when I do these little walks. But you made a big crisis out of this, telling everyone they couldn't invite Bob over. yours was a conspiracy no different than the conservatives. It just turned out the conservative viewpoint turned to be the right conspiracy. This harmed families beyond belief. And then we had a prime minister who created another crisis. If you take horse medication, you're an idiot. And if you don't take this one, you're not allowed ever to speak to me ever again. I thought the Prime Minister's job was to unite Canadians. This whole Liberal Party has always been fighting against Canadians. And they're always calling us the problem. Everything they do is sanctimonious. We're the problem. But everything they do harms us more. Because their opinion on the outcome is completely different from what Canadians are telling them. So when Canadians finally say enough is enough, and they say, you know what, we've had enough conspiracy, we've had enough feel-goodness, we need to actually take care of ourselves, all of a sudden there has to be a new crisis. Oh no, it's not Canadians, we need to unite together. You know, it's these big bad orange men down south. We're gonna unite all of Canada together. You know, oh, just forget the old Liberals, even though they're the exact same ones except one guy who has no interest in Canada whatsoever. It's conspiracy theory to call out Mark Carney's ties to China through financial ties in his old work business that he just quit 3 months ago to take the role that he is in right now. It's conspiracy theory to say that China's influencing the Liberal Party. But yet you claim Polyev should have got his security clearance so he could deal with foreign interference from India. And then it turns out one of your MPs wants to ship off the opposing MP to China. And then you replace him with somebody who sits in the same room as the Chinese government. But it's conspiracy theory to say the Liberals are corrupted by China. There's influence from China in the Liberal Party. We're conspiracy theorists on this. What about maybe adding dots together? What does that add up to? I mean, we're trying to draw a picture of who this man is to lead our country, to pick the direction Canada wants to go in. And you line up all these dots to draw that picture. You know, you remember the old puzzle books where you go from 21 to 22 to 23 and you draw a picture all around. And then later you come along and you color it back in and you have this really cool picture. Well, isn't all this China stuff just doing that? But it's called conspiracy theory. I don't know. Liberals, I think you got your conspiracy theory mixed up. You keep calling us conspiracy theorists. Yeah, we're looking for what's wrong. You're right. We are looking for what's wrong and what direction we should be going. That doesn't make us conspiracy theory. Just take your position on Trump and the tariffs and the economy in Canada. You say you're going to build energy projects across Canada, but then you're not going to rip up Bill 69, which prevents creating oil pipelines. Well, that's not the vision that you're trying to sell us. You know we want a pipeline across Canada, but you're selling us what? Nothing. That's not conspiracy theory. That's connecting dots. Drawing the picture. The conspiracy theory is you think you can replace the U.S. economy with a European one that we already have a free trade with, that we don't do business with. Welcome to the Fringe.
Hey you, I'm feeling it so.
Welcome to the fringe.